think Adrienne said it best when she said that Mercy Street grabbed her and wouldn't let go. I mean, like, we said nothing else. I think that says it all about Mercy Street. Now, about a little over 9 years ago, we had the privilege of President Bush coming to Mercy Street to visit our space. There's some pictures up here of when he visited. Now, yeah, exactly. Now, these pictures tell me a couple of things. One, that Melissa and President Bush have discovered the Fountain of Youth and haven't shared it with me. And two, that Melissa's incredibly gracious to have put up with that terrible haircut. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just embarrassing. But I do want to thank you, President Bush, Mrs. Bush, for being here tonight. Thank you for your generous support over the years and for honoring us with your presence. I also want to thank Dee Rose. Thank you very much for letting us use this beautiful space tonight. It really is an honor. And Dad, thank you for underwriting this event and for all your love and support over these years. So Melissa and I moved into West Dallas 15 years ago with two very simple ideas rattling around in our head. Now, I'm not capable of much more than a simple idea, truly. Melissa's much smarter than me, she'll tell you that. And I'm good with it because it's true. And those ideas were this. First, that the key to poverty alleviation was rooted in relationships. You know, love your neighbor as yourself. And the second was that we believe we are called to invest in the children as the future leaders of the community. See, I'll never forget the very first event that we did at Mercy Street. It was an auditorium in our building filled with kids and their mentors. And I looked out at them and I said, you are a future leader of West Dallas. And the kids kind of cocked their heads and they went, huh? So I continued. I said, yes, as a stakeholder of this community, it is your responsibility to make West Dallas a better place to live and raise children. I said, Melissa and I, we're transplants. Your mentors are visitors, but as stakeholders, that is your responsibility to make West Dallas a better place to live and raise children. Now, fast forward 15 years. 2 nights ago, we had a young man named Raymond Williams sitting at our dinner table. He's about to graduate from college. And I said, so Raymond, tell me what your plan is for the future. And he almost looked at me like it was a dumb question. Huh? So, what's your plan? He says, well, Mr. Trey, I'm going to move back to West Dallas, get a job, and invest in the community because that's what you told us to do. And see, that was just it. That was the plan. To have these cycles of children coming back and giving back, just like Raymond, and just like, where's Adrienne? Just like Adrienne, willing to come back and make an investment in their own community. That's where the real change is going to be made. Now, there's others too. In fact, I was talking to a young lady named Kayla. She's counting down the days until she turns 21 so she can become a mentor, because you can't be a mentor until you're 21. And so sweet Kayla just can't wait because her mentor meant so much to her. Now, over those 15 years, something else pretty radical happened. And that was the way that God radically reshaped Melissa's and my life too. See, he taught us so much about ourselves, both good and bad. There was lots of joy and pain. There were tears and there were laughter. We learned about our friends in West Dallas. We got to know their stories and their struggles. We learned about the complexity of poverty. And we had the blessing of seeing little girls grow up to smart, strong, beautiful women like Adrienne. And we learned about God's amazing grace that is given to us in such abundance we can't even imagine. In short, our lives were enriched in ways we couldn't ever have believed. And that's really what we mean at Mercy Street. We talk about mutually transforming relationships, a word that you've heard a lot. It's really, we believe that when these relationships are done right, that the mentor has just as much to gain as the student. That both lives are being transformed and conformed into the image of Christ. So that's it. That's Mercy Street in a nutshell, a journey of mutual transformation. But you may be asking, why is this important? See, I've often said, I don't think it's that we don't care about the poor in our city, it's that we don't know the poor. There's a man named John Howard Griffin who wrote a very important and captivating book called Black Like Me. And in that book he says, the distance between them and me was more than the physical miles that separated us. It's an area of unknowing. I wonder if it can ever be bridged. And so Mercy Street is in the business of putting people in proximity so that they might begin to bridge that area of unknowing. They might begin to understand one another so we might be able to come up to true solutions for the intractable problems that our city faces. And our city does face significant issues. For example, did y'all know that Dallas has the third highest rate of childhood poverty in the country? It seems unimaginable to me, really. We have the most generous, and I mean this sincerely, many people in this room, we have the most generous philanthropic community probably in the world. We have more mega churches in the city of Dallas than any other city in the country. Yet these problems persist. We have to ask the question, why? Well, I believe it's because we misdiagnosed the problem of poverty. As Brian Fickert says in his book, When Helping Hurts, while there is a material dimension to poverty, there's also a loss of meaning, purpose, and hope that plays a major role in poverty in North America. The problem goes well beyond the material dimension, so the solutions must go beyond the material as well. This coincides with a study that was done by the World Bank in which they interviewed over 10,000 poor people around the world. And they said that poor people typically talk in terms of shame, inferiority, powerlessness, humiliation, fear, hopelessness, depression, isolation. Those aren't going to be solved with a simple program over a short period of time. Those type of things take a long time, and they take a relationship investment for a long time. Ficker continues, he says, if we reduce human beings to simply physical beings, as we tend to do in the Western world, our poverty alleviation efforts will tend to focus on material solutions. But if we remember that humans are spiritual, social, psychological, and physical beings, our poverty alleviation efforts will be more holistic in their design and their execution. They'll be more relational. And that's what Mercy Street does. We're committed to relational solutions to the problem of poverty. Walking with kids for a long period of time so that they might discover their value and worth. They might discover their purpose, as you heard Gabrielle say. That they might understand that they have actually value that can be used in the world for greater things than just getting by. See, Mercy Street, what we've seen, is a model that actually works. It's evidenced in Adrian's, in Raymond's, and so many others. We're witnessing on a daily basis. And it really is our goal to see this model expanded beyond the community of West Dallas. Because for the first 15 years, if anyone asked me, I said, we are laser beam focused on West Dallas. Now, we helped 10 other mentoring programs get started around the country, and we even helped start Champions of Hope in South Dallas about 10 years ago. And as Ricky said, we're in the process of now acquiring Champions of Hope and considering how we might strategically move into other neighborhoods around the city of Dallas so that we might be able to employ these relational solutions to poverty that I believe are the true solutions to the situation our city faces. And so that's why we need you. That's why we call this group here tonight, to ask you, to invite you in to this expansion effort of Mercy Street. See, when I decided to pass off the reins to Mercy Street, I really wasn't concerned so much about the operational issues. That was going to be fine. We have a system that works, but it's the sustainability. And so that's why I'm going to ask you to consider making an investment in Mercy Street going forward as we seek to expand, really believing it's not just for the good of the kids, or the good of the mentor, or the good of the community, but it's good for the city of Dallas. That by making an investment in Mercy Street, you're making an investment in the betterment of our city. And I firmly believe that. We are witnessing it happen. And so if you look on their table, there are pledge cards there, just giving some examples of what it costs to run Mercy Street. One of the things it costs is going to cost us $250,000 to expand into South Dallas. That's going to be the operational cost to Mercy Street to expand in South Dallas. Now that wasn't money that we budgeted. This was totally an act of faith. I see my board members squirming over there, right? But this was, and I trust that we serve a God who's big enough and there's enough people who can step forward to help cover that. And I'm going to ask you to consider how you might play a role in that too. Those ball fields that you saw on the screen, those beautiful ball fields, that's Mercy Street Sports Complex. It was built in West Dallas through the generosity of many people in this room for the people of West Dallas. Unlike some of the development there, which I'm actually excited about, but there are present some challenges. This is exclusively for the folks of West Dallas to play and for the families to gather. It costs us about $150,000 a year just to maintain those fields. So that's another way that money would be used. We have the mentoring program just going into one school, one mentor coordinator, and the programming dollars, that's about $75,000. But it's my hope tonight that we'll be able to raise that $500,000 that is on your card. And so I'd ask you to prayerfully consider how you might want to invest in the work of Mercy Street. And again, the life of these kids like Adrian and Raymond, in a community like West Dallas and South Dallas, but ultimately because of the mutual transformation, we're making an investment in the city of Dallas. And I'm going to close with this. This is a verse from Isaiah 58:10. It says, if you pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then your light will rise in darkness and your gloom in the noonday. I believe that we have a chance to have our light shine